if you have been educated all your life that different things might be dangerous, if you also think that migrants are here to ruin your social security, steal your jobs, contaminate your culture, you gotta learn about fear conditioning. Do you see this little structure here close to the hippocampus? It's the amygdala. It's what controls your fears. So what happens is that when we encounter dangerous situations in our lives, this information will be stored in the amygdala, so that in the future, when we are in similar conditions of that dangerous situation that we lived in the past, the amygdala will send us fear signals, which is an emotion, to help us avoid being in the same dangerous situation again. The amygdala is not only responsible of fear reactions, but also interferes with our autonomic and endocrine functions through the stress hormones, and also plays an important role in decision-making through associative learning. Associative learning stipulates that our brains are not capable of learning information in isolation. So we need most of the time to combine an information with a condition so that we learn it better. And that condition can be related to the environment, but also to a mental state, which can be an emotion of fear or a situation of reward, for example. In this context, we will only focus on fear conditioning. Fear is supposed to save us from dangerous situations that can be either a threat to our life or to our psychological well-being. Fear conditioning in these cases is an adaptive mechanism that our brain created to help us anticipate threat. That threat anticipation is not only managed by the amygdala, but by other frontal structures, which leads us to the conclusion that fear moves from being just an emotion to a thoughtful, well-organized, and strategic process to avoid danger. Now, let's see together the behavioral and social repercussions of fear conditioning. There are two types of fear, unconscious and conscious. And there are two types of systems that can be activated through fear, the behavioral activation system and the behavioral inhibition system. The behavioral activation system is associated to an increased arousal and an increased attention to the environmental cues, while the behavioral inhibition system focuses on relieving one's own unpleasant emotions and taking an action to avoid the threat. The difference between unconscious fear and conscious fear is that in the first situation, we are not aware that we are afraid, and we just react immediately, while in the second situation, we are aware of being afraid. That awareness is very important because it will help us avoid being misled. It will move fear from the emotion behavior reaction to the emotion that we will think about for a little moment and try to manage before reacting. So to make it simple, conscious fear is behaviorally controllable, unlike unconscious fear. And here where comes our power to control our fear response after we listen to propaganda about the scary others, like migrants, for example. I'm not going to talk about the patriarchal, misogynistic social media content and fear conditioning against women, because I'm going to be on fire if I talk about that. But what kind of strategies we can use to control our fear response when we listen to social media and propaganda? First, knowing that all media messages are constructed. Second is knowing that this construction is linked to a specific linguistic terminology that aims to influence your opinion about things. Third, knowing that our response to media content differs according to our environment, our cultural background, and also our previous experiences. And last, which is very important, is knowing that media are organized to gain profit or power. That will stimulate our critical thinking and help us avoid media fear manipulation. So, I hope that after this, you'll become less fearful and more curious about the beautiful diversity of the world and other cultures.